Hey, business building warrior, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio, the podcast that features great interviews with real entrepreneurs, people who started off with very little knowledge, very little money in many cases, and went on to build beautiful businesses. And today we've got another great example of that. Someone from our community who started off as a reseller quite a while back, as you'll hear, but has gone on to build an incredible business. And we're so proud that he still is associated with our community and he's thriving. But his business took a little bit of a different turn that's not typical. I don't think anyone has a typical story around here. That's why story after story is so interesting, right? Here's what happened to him. He started noticing that he was having a hard time finding good poly bags. Those are the clear bags that we use to sell on Amazon. Everything has to be in a clear bag when you ship it into Amazon. Well, he started noticing that there was a lack of really good ones that he could get his hands on. So he built a better bag for his own business, bought a few extra, sold those extras to a few other sellers. Next thing you know, he's got a wildly successful business selling bags to other sellers. And he goes into some of the numbers and details today. I'm talking with Jonathan from ilovesupplies.com. You can go check out their website. But the bigger point I want to make, and I'll make it towards the end of the episode as well, is this. If you get into this blue ocean of opportunity that's represented by Amazon selling, reselling on the world's largest e-commerce platform, you're in a blue ocean of opportunity now. The relationships you make, the connections you make, the observations you make about what's needed and where new services might be provided, everything from opening your own prep center, which we can help you out with, to maybe launching your own products that others can use to make their business better, software ideas. The ideas are bubbling up constantly. So don't just put your nose to the grindstone and get in a rut and scan barcodes and try to sell things and flip them. Pay attention to the landscape. Pay attention to the other people around you. Ask what needs they have. Make observations about the business model and solve problems. Because as Amazon continues to explode in growth, going from what they are right now, about 8% or so of all U.S. retail, 8 or 9%, they'll soon be 10, 12, 15% of all U.S. retail. E-commerce itself will go from its 20% that it's at right now to 25, 30, 35. There's so many new opportunities, so many new businesses that can emerge from this. So stay creative. Stay engaged, keep building relationships, and keep enjoying great stories like Jonathan's, where he paid attention to the details, and now he's got an incredible product. He's even got a patent on a special feature. And, if you like talking about plastic bags, you're going to love this episode today. It may sound like kind of a boring topic, but when you wrap it in a success story like Jonathan's, and you know that it's someone from our community who's thriving, there's some great business lessons here, even though we're talking about plastic bags. There's been innovation, there's been creativity, and a lot of people have made a lot of money because they're using his services. So let's jump in, have a good time talking with Jonathan. Enjoy. Hey, Jonathan, welcome back to the podcast. Good to see you, my friend.
Thank you, Jim. Good to see you as well.
Well, I love getting into the stories of members around here who have been in our community for either a short time or a long time, and hearing their stories. You've been around a long time. So let's just get a recap of your story and then tell me what you've been up to.
I joined your community probably back in 2015, maybe the late part of 14, just out of, kicking the tires, looking around, seeing what was going on. But I actually started on Amazon in 2015 in December. That's when I opened my store officially, just, filling out all of their requirements, the paperwork, if you will. My first shipment for FBA went in January of 2016.
And then you got into wholesale pretty quickly after that, if I recall your story, correct?
Yeah, so I started out with just originally it was candy toys, reselling things that it was the end of December, so you had all your end quarter 4 items that were on there. My very first shipment ever was actually just items from eBay that I was just trying to flip on there, and they were all brand new items, and so I was going to send them in there. I had probably, I'm not sure, 50 or something items, and I was a little short on poly bags. So two or three of the items I wanted to send in that first shipment did not go. I was brand new at this. I was using Huggies boxes to put my stuff in to ship to FBA. And after the first shipment, then I started digging more into arbitrage and looking around at the local stores, finding things, on sale and just trying to flip those. And about 3 months later, I opened my first wholesale account. Is with a little tiny candy company. And I just reached out to them through email or maybe a phone call back then. And I just told them that I have a store and that I'm wanting to add their products to our line or to our inventory. And they were open for it. So I started that as my first wholesale company or first wholesale account.
Excellent. Yeah, I love the trip down memory lane as to, what the business used to look like. You used to be able to buy stuff off of eBay, and as long as it was new, you'd probably be okay. You can't do that anymore. I just want to get
Oh,
people,
right, right.
don't do
Well,
that.
right, exactly. I don't do that. Our stuff that I had was all brand new items that I was hoping to eBay. So I wasn't buying and flipping them. I just had them. And
Gotcha.
then someone told me reselling, and they were like, you can send all these to Amazon. And I'm like, oh, really? So I had the
Right.
drumsticks and things, and they're all brand new items. Then I just moved platforms, if you will.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so that's how you kind of got your start. But how many years did you do reselling before you started noticing this underserved niche that you're now in?
Well, it was within the first year or so, we opened up wholesale accounts with some pretty big brands. I had a wholesale account with Hershey's, Lindt chocolate, Stevens hot chocolate, just some different brands. And we also were processing lots of Barbies, lots of chocolate and candy for the different seasons. And the bags that we were using just kept having problems. They would rip, they would tear, they would, just have issues with them. And with the wholesale accounts that we were having and doing pretty good volume with online arbitrage, I told my wife one day, I said, let's make 50,000 bags for ourselves. We can just have those on hand and we can use them because I would buy a case from somewhere else and throw away a good portion of them. Either they would rip or tear or have issues. And when I reached out to factories to make what we wanted, everyone just told me no. Or else they said what changes I wanted to make were the most expensive changes. Like no one was going to do it. And so with that, instead of being, dissatisfied, or instead of being discouraged, I turned around and I was like, okay, well, let's reach out to a factory and actually make them ourselves. So it took 2.5 years of research and development and created the I Love It line of bags. I sent some samples to the biggest sellers I knew at the time. And I was like, what do you think of these? And the 20 people that I sent them out to, they all had one complaint, and that was that they couldn't order them. And so that told me I did a good job, that people liked them. So I turned around and told my wife, I said, we're going to do a bit more than 50,000. And our first production run was 2 million bags across 4 sizes. So that was
Yes,
a
I
big step.
remember. And I vaguely remember that because that's when you kind of went into marketing mode. It's like, hey, I've kind of gone all in on this. How
Yes,
about
yes,
some? How about we let the folks in the community know they've got an option for poly bags? A lot of
right.
people doing their own prep. And I think that's probably about when you started being a sponsor for our conferences and started bringing samples and that sort of thing. When
Right.
was that?
The first time would have been in 2018. We launched in July, and 2018 we took our bags to what's that? My mind just went blank. The big
The
conference in
conference,
Vegas.
the Proven Conference. Oh, to ASD in Vegas.
Yes, yes, yeah. I took ASD at first, and then you guys, I think, were the next thing that we were introduced to. It's weird to go from a seller that's active in the community, finding finds at CVS and Target, and and sharing things, and then all of a sudden, when you're making a product the seller needs, now you look like you're self promoting. And it's like if I was just selling, chocolate, and someone said, "What bags you use?" and I mentioned a company, it would be all good. But all of a sudden, when it's your company, and people
Yeah.
are like, "What are you doing?" But I only found this, or started making these because of the need that we needed. And I knew if I needed it, other sellers would need it, and this would provide a product that was going to add value and efficiency to their business, and it was adding it to ours. And we used them up until we got to the point that I kind of had to make the decision: do I keep balancing my wholesale accounts? I was At the time we had only 3 kids. Number four was, I think number four was in the oven, if you will. So a lot of my working was just out of the house. My wife's a teacher, so I couldn't just go get a a warehouse in town or a retail place space or something to go rent because I had children with me all the time. I'd be basically moving them with me every day as well. And so I just ran the business out of the house. And as we grew, eventually our garage was completely covered with boxes. Our first shipment was 21 pallets. I put them directly in the garage and closed the door before the HOA knew what was going on. So it was it was a crazy experience. But we started with four sizes, and as demand started coming from our users, we don't call her I call everybody our users. I don't like using the word customer just because it's like we're like a family and then we're all just helping each other out. So to me, it was fun to learn what sizes people need. I get emails or questions. People ask me like, "Hey, will this fit in this bag?" or "What size will this fit?" And so I actually do a lot of phone calls or message like videos where they'll show me a product and they'll say, "How does this fit?" or "What size is this?" And of course, the experienced sellers, they not everybody needs help. But when it's someone new or they've got a new product and they're doing a bundle or something, it's kind of fun to kind of interact with them and help them. Sometimes it's just a matter of spinning it sideways or stacking it or something. So, but it's been fun. But like I said, we started with just the clear poly bags, and now 2 years later, we invented the blocking bag, and we have a patent for that. And now we service, the regular sellers that just need a good quality poly bag, and then the blocking side are for bundles and for anyone, even someone. We have a lot of people that just use them for single items too, because it saves them the step of marking off the barcodes and the UPC codes with stickers or Sharpie.
It's a barcode blocking bag. You can still see through it, so it still meets Amazon standards there as being a clear, but the scanners can't see through it. They can only see the tag on the outside of the bag. I didn't realize you guys had applied for a patent, a trademark on that, you said?
Yep, everything. So trademark on our logo, but patent on the the actual blocking bag itself.
That's a great idea. How'd that idea come to you? Like, what's the genesis of that?
Well, we had a lot of questions that would come in to just say, "Hey, is there any way that you guys can make it so that we don't have basically pretty much direct questions? Do you have a way to block this?" Like I have my seller, FNSKU number that has to go on the outside. They would send, let's say, 100 items in Amazon or 1,000 items in, and not everything would be checked in because they would miss scan. And so I had, there's a couple of guys in our community that reached out to me and they would just say, "Hey, can you guys come up with something? Is there something that can be done?" And so one day I sat down and just started drawing, and my brother, he's my wife's brother, I just call my brother. We started just kind of sketching things out and drawing things out and trying to come up with how to make this possible, because they still have to be transparent enough to know what's in there, but also have the features on them to prevent codes from being scanned from the outside. So
how did you solve? I haven't seen one of those bags, or maybe I haven't. I've forgotten. In general, how did you? Because most people are listening to this. Otherwise, I'd have you grab one and hold it up. But just describe it to me. Like,
I didn't think about it.
No worries. How did you solve that problem ultimately?
The biggest way to say it is that the design that is on there is in such a way that it doesn't allow the barcodes to be seen in their entirety. And the way that our patent attorney, I hired a patent attorney to help me do this. And the way he's written it up is that any blocking bag or any bag that can block. So sometimes you hear about people like, "Oh, if you have a patent on something, change the color and it changes it, or change if it's, some feature of it and it changes." The way he wrote this up is to, if it can block a bag, it doesn't matter if they're squares, circles, triangles, or if they're fireworks. Some people call ours rockets or fireworks. Basically, if the purpose is to block the code from being scanned from the outside, then it's covered by the way he wrote our patent.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool. That's awesome. Have you run into any competitors trying to skirt around you yet?
I have found one person that makes them for themselves. And I was just kind of told about that person. I've never had any dialogue with that individual as of yet, besides just knowing that he doesn't sell them. He just uses them for his own, business. And that's an interesting thing because most factories want at least 500,000 of a size, to do a run. So if he's making them himself or somewhere, that's, that's in house. We did find one prep center here in Corona. I walked by one day came in with my bags and offered them some samples. I'm just trying to touch base. And to my surprise, there was a pack of bags on their counter that looked exactly like my bags, not the blocking bags, but our clear bags. And I mean, they look verbatim to what we have, because our clear bags have the suffocation warnings on them, the size on them. They have it ready to ship. So they eliminate the need for all these stickers, and they're also, stronger, thicker bags. But I looked over and I was like, those look like ours. And the guy looked at me and he saw the literature I was handing him, and the look on his face was almost like deer in the headlights. And I was like, you know what? I said, can I just have one of those? I said, here's a full 100 pack. I'm curious. And I took it home, and sure enough, someone was trying to duplicate our clear bag. There were some definite things that were not there. They weren't as thick. They had a perforated edge across the top. There was some definite things that made them so they weren't ours. But I thought it was just funny that, and I was told years ago, if someone tries to copy you, it's a compliment. So my kid's like, Dad, are you upset? And I'm like, no. It's like, he's already failed. I mean, like, he's trying, whoever it is. They didn't do it right, but they're trying. And I figured, you know what? Anybody that makes something new, you get inspired by someone else anyways. So I thought it was interesting. It's more flattery for me. I think I still have that bag somewhere, because it's just kind of comical to me. Like, this guy tried to copy us.
Yeah. Well, it's occurring to me that, we are two dads talking about clear plastic bags on a podcast. Like, only in e-commerce would that be a fascinating subject, because I find this, just to recap for the listener's sake, you started off as a reseller. And I say all the time on this show, if you get into this world, if you get into this arena of reselling and you build relationships and you pay attention to what's going on around you, you're going to see gaps. You're going to see opportunities. You're going to see partnerships and relationships emerge that lead to big things.
Right.
You're now, coming up on a decade before too long into this gig of supplying resellers with very high quality bags. I know there's a lot of users in our community that use, and the website is, it's I Love Supplies. Is that still the website?
Yep. It's silentjimdotcom. Yep.
ilovesupplies.com. And you can get over and see Jonathan's, the bags and the different products they have there. But I love the ingenuity, the creativity. You've built an incredible business kind of as an offshoot of this incredible expanding blue ocean that we're playing in, which is reselling, e-commerce. Right. How many customers? I don't know how much you want to share. So if I ask you a number that's kind of proprietary, or your lawyer's like, don't tell anybody that, just tell me. But about how many customers do you have? How many bags are you moving? Tell me about your operation, whatever degree you're comfortable.
So for us, it's funny, my attorney that I have, I hired him more for protection, trademark, patent, those type of things. He's a great guy. He actually does, he has a lot of, I did not know this when I found him, but he has a lot of retail and Amazon clients that he works with. And he does both sides of, either he'll send cease and desist, or he will take care of things. And, but honestly, I randomly found him in a restaurant one day. We were having dinner, and I overheard him talking to somebody, and I just stood up and walked over to him and gave my business card. And I just said, I think we can have a connection. You're at dinner right now. I'm at dinner with my bride. Feel free to give me a call when you've got some time. And I just left it at that. I had no idea anything else about him besides the little bit that I picked up, as dinner was going on. So with that said, like I said, we started out with 2 million bags, and within 5 months or so or less, we had requests for additional sizes. And so I put a post in one of the Facebook groups, basically just said, here's a poll, said, what are your most in demand sizes? Like, what do you use the most? And I had now a list of the top 10 bag sizes that everyone in that group wanted. So I used that as my focus. And then we have grown to, like I said, 16 sizes of our clear bags. We just launched a new size in our UPC blocking bag. That's the only reason that one has 17 and the clear has 16. But 2 years ago, we did 16 million bags in production, just that 1 year. And so we're growing. It's the customer base fluctuates especially with the Amazon world right now and the world around us. Some people are leaving, some people are joining. So that's always fluctuating. But I would say on average, there's probably consistently 2,000 or so customers that are, but not every month. So some order once every week, a couple hundred bags. Some order, our biggest order ever was just over 400,000 bags. And then he didn't order again for about 8 months, besides some little orders, here and there. We had a big order this morning. I told you before we got started, the guy ordered 290,000 bags, all UPC blocking bags. To us, that's a huge order, but this particular guy started out originally with a single free sample request. And then his first order ever was like 1,000 bags. So over the last 8 years, he was actually one of our original customers ever that first month or two. And he's just slowly scaled up. So I tell people all the time, I don't care if it's a sample pack or a big order. I treat everyone like I would want to be treated. And I know if I can bring value to them and help them be more efficient, then they'll probably stick around and want us longer. So it's been a fun journey to get to know people and help their businesses grow and to be chosen by them, because they have other options and they prefer us. We try to do priority shipping on every order unless it's like on a pallet. But to me, if I can get something to someone on the East Coast in less than 48 hours, they're going to love that. And they know that they can rely on me. I've been told all the time I should just go to ground shipping, but I have a hard time with that because I know ground's like 3 to 10 days or depending on the zip code. And I know that with an Amazon sellers, and the prep centers, like they need the bags. It's like humans need oxygen. They need bags. If they don't have them, they can't sit in inventory, which means they're not making money. And so to me, if I can get them their stuff as quick as I can, besides express, I don't do that just because it's too crazy. But a priority shipping, we can go from California we've done Florida or New York. A guy tested us one day. He wanted to see how fast we can get it to him. So I shipped it out at like 5:46 on a Wednesday, and he got it before 11 a.m. a day and a half later. And so, and that was just priority shipping. So yeah, it's fun to be a trusted source in the community.
Beautiful. I'm talking to Jonathan of ilovesupplies.com. A great story. He's supporting hundreds of sellers in our community currently that I know of, just out of word of mouth, and sponsoring our conferences. The Proven Conference is coming up, and I've appreciated your sponsorship over the years and some of the creative things we've done together. It's occurring to me as we're sitting here talking that you are in front of a lot of sellers, primarily Amazon sellers. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm thinking that's your primary market, right? We probably need to do some work together to talk about 3P Mercury to your customer base. I don't know if you've been keeping up with the stories there, but it's the first sourcing to shipping software tool, right? Where it handles the entire spectrum of the process of finding products and then shipping them ultimately. I'm thinking there's some advertising opportunities or maybe even affiliate marketing where you could tell your base about 3P and we could be sending you a check as you've helped us find new users. So yeah, there's some opportunities there even beyond what we've done so far. Have you done anything like that? Have you done any advertising on your bags or any kind of promotions to your user base?
I haven't done any third-party type of things on our website, only because I've tried to keep the website as clean as I can, so they just come in, get it, and not have any distractions. The other thing is, so I started in sales when I was 16. Just Hub Clothing was a clothing store, and I've always been involved with it. I did a stint in the Navy for a while, and that right after I got out of the military, I went right back into sales. And the affiliate world, I love it, but it has its own challenges. And being that I got 4 kids, my wife, the 33 sizes, if you will, in the garage, in my head, I think when I look at doing affiliate marketing, if I had an easy platform that was basically flawless, I could probably look into it. But I know that when I used to do affiliate marketing years ago, then they run off a lot of times either codes, which are ideal because then like, hey, it came from Jim, right? So they know where it came from for sure. But a lot of the marketing is done off of last click. And so if someone clicks on my link and then they get a message from another, let's say prep center or, someone in the Amazon world, and they click on that and that has a link to us as well. And the commissions shifted, from this guy to this guy. And then it just feels like to me, it would be more of a headache to manage that on my own. But as we grow, I'm not against something, but as of right now, I've never done any extra advertising on our end, but we've done like when I sponsor you, I'll do things like that for sure to get our bags at conferences or get on something to help people know that we're here. But I also know that there's so many FBA groups out there. And so if they were like, yeah, I was in gyms, but then I was also at this one, and then I came from this one, and I don't know where does my commission go to, and so I just
Yeah. Yeah.
try
Well,
to be
the thing I
neutral.
love pointing out to entrepreneurs is,
Yeah.
even when I'm talking to even software companies with user base, I'm like, the asset you have isn't the product you're selling. It's not the tool you're selling. The asset you have is the community of people who are now listening to you. So there's other ways to monetize that, to serve them with excellence. And, whether someone's promoting your stuff or you're promoting someone else's stuff, you've got the attention of a fairly large audience is the thing I'm
Yes.
just pointing out, Jonathan. And
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe a chance to do some cross promotions with brands that you trust could be another good income stream for you without doing any heavy lifting. So we can talk offline about that later, but I just like thinking creatively with other business owners who have momentum, and that's a beautiful place to be, having momentum. You're picking up new clients every month, I take it. It
Yep.
sounds like.
Yeah. It shows our stats, new and returning customers, or they say customers on the platform. I say users, like I said. But when I log in, it tells me like, oh, you have X, but it'll tell me the percentage of new, and it just says customers on there. And then returning ones that are there. It's an interesting thing to follow for me, because some people are like, oh, well, what's your projection? But all it takes is a random order like this morning's to throw the numbers off. But at the same
Sure.
time, this guy has ordered in the past larger orders, but it's been 6 months. We have some users that literally buy once a week, and it's like 100 bags or 300 bags, and they just do it every week. It's just weird, but it meets their needs. And other ones, they order once a month, and then that's what they do. And so, but then every once in a while they find, maybe they get a wholesale account, or they found a whole bunch of something they need. They'll place that additional order, because they need them. So it's managing this business is interesting, because unlike a digital product, I have to ship it out. So I'm all excited for new order, but as I ship it out, now I've got a depleted inventory, which means
Yeah.
I have to go the full circle back to the factory to order that, to get it, and then it has to. Right now, so like I said before, I was in the Navy. I'm an Eagle Scout. To me, it was like I wanted the U.S. factories, and none of the U.S. factories would do what we wanted to do. And so when I went overseas, it wasn't even to find a cheaper way; it was to find someone that would make them the way I wanted to make them.
Your specs.
And then,
Yeah.
yeah, like, because no one here would do it. And then now with the whole tariff thing and everything that people are doing, and trying to bring things here, I personally have, from my experience with the factories in the U.S. since the tariff started, I come to the conclusion, this is my opinion, I wish that our country would give like 5 years or 10 years for manufacturing factories to get built, to get stabilized, to get ready, and then say, hey, if you don't have a product coming from the US within 10 years, then we're going to impose this tariff. Because what happened is all these factories got inundated by US people trying to order from here. And then I feel like the quality went down. They got overloaded. Even our bags, I tried to bring to a US factory here, and the quotes I was receiving were literally 8 times higher
Wow.
than I got before I went to overseas the first time.
Right.
And they were telling me, oh, by the way, we don't ship to you. You have to come will call. And the funniest thing that to me on that whole thing was, currently our bags come in 100 packs, or there's a case of 1,000, but they're 10 100 packs in that case. The factories that I talked to here, they were like, we don't bundle them in 100 packs. If you're lucky, we might do 300, but for the most part, it's will call. So they're just loose in boxes, and then you guys have to bag them. And I'm like, that's not even going to fly.
For eight
And that
times the
was
price.
that
Yeah.
higher price.
It's not
So
sustainable. Yeah.
right. So but what we've got going on is pretty good. Ideally, if I had a magic wand, I would have our own factory here stateside, because then we can have product here faster. When a big order like the one that came in this morning happens, we can quickly replenish that,
Right.
because I don't want to drown by feeding a whale, because I still have all the minnows that need to be fed too. And the whale started as a minnow, right? So, and I'm okay with that. But I want to make sure that, especially with the conference coming up, that we're gonna have inventory. It'd be pretty bad if people went to place orders and it's all gone. So that's a constant balancing act.
You've got a great reputation, I can tell folks, and a lot of very happy users. And I love the community feel to everything that you do. It's like you're just another seller who's happened to get into a niche of selling bags. And
Yes,
I
yes.
think one thing I want to do before I let you go, unless there's anything else on your mind, is just almost do the infomercial for like why your bags. Why should someone go to ilovesupplies.com as opposed to elsewhere? I know a lot goes into this beyond just cheapest price, because now we're talking bags that rip or bags that, stick together and all cling together, and you pick up one and you get six and they're all over the floor. And like, there's several little things that I know about your bags that prep centers just love. Talk me through some of the innovation there beyond the barcode masking. What else you guys have going on?
Well, right off the bat, the first thing we did is the white strips. When you pull those off, those used to, like the bags we had previously, they would snake around you like little miniature boa constrictors, right? And they would,
Everything.
you couldn't get it. My wife was always flipping her wrist,
Shaking them off your hands.
taking them off, right? And then they would cling to everything around the house, like the outside the walls, on boxes, on inventory. And we would always, I mean, resellers across the country, they have to deal with those strips, right? They are problems. And one day our little boy came running in. At the time, he was like maybe 2 or something. And he came in and went through a pile of the strips, and they all clung to his legs. I clinged to his legs, and he started just to bawl and to scream. And I looked at my wife and was like, those have got to go.
Yeah.
Gotta find a way around this.
Yeah, it's just like, it's like a balloon sticking to the wall because of your hair, like that.
Right. Well, then the other thing is the strength of the bags. To us, like we weren't putting huge items in there, but sometimes resellers are like, I've got this 8x10 bag, and I know it's an 8x11 thing, but maybe I can force it in and stretch. And a lot of times, people do pick up, the bare minimal size of a bag, hoping that it'll work, because the price difference from going up one size sometimes, can be considerable depending what it is, depending the size. And so we wanted them stronger. We wanted them to have a little bit of elasticity to them so they can be stretched a little bit, but would never tell them they can, because everyone's different, right? In the sense of, if you're shipping a book or a plushie, the need for putting something in those bags is going to be different. And so we also, like I mentioned earlier, the innovation of adding the suffocation warning, the ready to ship. We put the size in every bag, because one day we were doing some orders. We had 2 different sizes right next to us, and the kit came in and on the wind blew and all the bags at the floor. And we're like, oh, wait, what size is this? And we spent, I'm not even sure how long, trying to sort out 8.5x10 and 8 by whatever it was, 8 or 9x12, whatever it was. They were close. And so we're sitting there doing this, trying to figure out which is which. And I'm like, okay, we need the size in every bag. And so that would just help out. It makes it faster and easier. And so basically just try to find ways to be more efficient, to add value and time savings so that we can, maximize our time that we're spent processing inventory. You mentioned Prep Center, or when you asked earlier about how many users we have about 10 to 12 consistent prep centers that use us every month in and out. I know that you have connections, I think, with your own and some other prep centers. I think I've heard different ones that we have. It's funny, the prep centers come and go a lot, especially like in Montana and some of these tax-free zones. And I think the cold weather hits some of those guys pretty hard. If they're not from there, they get an ambition to go up and, serve the community. And then I'm from Montana originally, and I know if a blizzard comes through, it kind of changes your perspective of that beautiful summer you've had all year.
Right.
But with that said, though, if I can make people's lives and their businesses faster, easier, more efficient through our bags, that's what I'm loving. I love that I can touch the lives of these people. I can make an impact. I can help them. One person told me, he's like, and I can get done inventory faster, then we have more time to do other things. And so even that is just a great thing.
Yeah, for their faster to use bags. Yeah, a community grown business that's thriving. And just to point out something, the observation that I love to make is, we are in the right arena at the right time. It's a rapidly growing blue ocean of opportunity. You're picking up new users all the time. New prep centers are coming on board. Some of these massive orders are being placed by people who started off, you said, minnows and whales, right? They started off as minnows. Now you're serving them as whales that are making these big orders and growing beautiful businesses. So I love these little spin-off stories. from this arena that we're playing in. And Jonathan, it's been great hanging out with you, man. Jonathan Swart of ilovesupplies.com, right? I get that
Yep.
right? ilovesupplies.com. And
Right.
we'll
Yeah, I
stick,
love it. And polybags.
yeah, I'll stick a link in the show notes as well. And just looking
Thank
forward to continue to work with you, man. You've been a great partner for many years, and love having you on the show. Anything you want to leave the listeners with as we start to part ways with this episode?
Just our family just appreciates everyone that uses us. I can't express that enough. Over the years, we love being part of the community, your group, and we know that people like Sue and other members in your group have talked about our bags when they're doing bundles or when they're doing their different promotions or different coaching that you guys do. Then they mention us, and to us, that is like when I was a kid, I was told the highest form of compliment is, besides obviously covering you, but word of mouth. That right there, people, if they trust the person telling them, then that's huge. And so to know there's so many of your coaches and so many people in your groups that use us and that tell people about us, we just are so grateful for that. Like I said, I've got 4 kids and my wife and me, and my mom, she helps process, and that's our show. That's the 5 of us. Well, I guess it's 7 of us. Sorry, I was counting the 4 kids. But anyways, 4 kids and my mom, those 5 help the most. My wife is great, but she's a teacher, like I said. And so oftentimes she's like, I've got to be at work, I've got my own things I have to do. But as a family, though, we definitely appreciate the community, and we love that we're chosen over and over again to be their supplier.
Yeah. Well, you've grown a beautiful business, and around here we celebrate that. You're a business building warrior with roots in this community, and I appreciate you hopping back on the show. And
Sure.
as always, man, it's good to see you. Keep up the great work. If I can be of assistance, please reach out. Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
Yes, sir. Well, hey, for those who joined us on this episode today and met Jonathan of ilovesupplies.com, I just want to point out this was a bit of an unusual episode if you're new around here. Although it kind of matches the format that's typical, where we interview successful students from our community who have built beautiful businesses. And you hear me say all the time on this show, if you've listened to many shows at all, that the reselling opportunity on Amazon leads to so many incredible open doors of opportunity because it's a rapidly growing blue ocean of many new opportunities for you. So the business itself, phenomenal. The other offshoot opportunities, those are incredible as well. And we heard a great example of that today. So there's never been a better time to get started or to start building relationships in this niche if you're already rolling. So, Jonathan, thanks for being here today, man. I really appreciate your time. Say hello to your family. And to the listeners who make this show great, thank you for hanging out with us today. We really appreciate it. We'll have another great episode for you very soon. Talk to you then.